Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I can close this. Tonight's parasha, Beshalach, when he sent, includes the Torah portion, Exodus 13, 17 to 17:16, the Haftorah, Judges 4 to 5:31, Brit Hadasha, Matthew 5, 1 to 48, John 6, 22 to 40, 1 Corinthians 10, 1 to 13, 2 Corinthians 8, 1 to 15, Revelations 15, 1 to 4. We'll begin with Exodus 13, 17, 16, right after our prayers. Blessed are you, Yahweh, Elohim, Master of the universe. You nourish the whole world in goodness with grace, kindness, and compassion. You give bread to all flesh, for your mercy endures forever. And through your great goodness, we've never lacked, nor will we ever lack for food, shelter, clothing, even the monetary needs. All of the needs of the day are met in you, Yahuwah Yireh, our provider. And all this for the sake of your great name. For you alone are God, and you alone nourish and sustain and do good and prepare food and take care of all the creatures which you have created. Blessed are you, Yahweh. You nourish all. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Hamavir shena mi'ayenu enuma mi'apa v'hi ratzon milfnei yaka Abba Yahweh Eloheinu v'lechei avatenu shetargalenu b'ritek havdebekenu mitzvotecha v'yel taveinu la lidei chet v'lo lidei avera v'avan v'lo lidei nisyan Vilo ladai v'zayan v'el tashlet banu yetzer hara. B'Shem Yeshua. Blessed are you, Abba Yahweh, our God, sovereign King of the universe. You remove sleep and slumber from our eyes. May it be your will, Yahweh, our God, and the God of our fathers, to accustom us to your Torah and attach us to your mitzvah. And do not lead us into the hands of sin, nor into the hands of pride or perversity, not into the hands of temptation, nor into the hands of shame. And do not let the evil inclination rule over us. In the name of Yeshua, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu et derech ha'Yeshua b'Mashiach, Yeshua baruchahu, Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our God, sovereign King of the universe. You gave us the way of salvation through Mashiach Yeshua. Blessed be he, Amen. Baruch Yahuwah Yam Yom Yamos Lanu Ha'el Yeshuatenu B'Shem Yeshua. Blessed be Yahuwah, who daily carries our burden, the God of our salvation, in the name of Yeshua. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. I realize that this is live. I don't want everybody to talk about it. Blessed are you, Abba Yahweh, Eloheinu, our God, sovereign King of the universe. You've sanctified us with your commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of Torah. Please, Yahweh, our God, sweeten the words of your Torah in our mouths and in the mouths of all of your people, Yisrael. May we and our offspring, the offspring of your people, the whole house of Israel, may we all together know your name and study your Torah for the sake of fulfilling your desire. Blessed are you, Yahweh. You teach Torah to your people. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our God, sovereign King of the universe. You chose us from among the nations of the world and gave us the Torah. Blessed are you, Abba Yahweh, giver of Torah. May Yahweh bless you and keep watch over you. May Yahweh make his presence to enlighten you, and may he be kind to you. May Yahweh bestow favor on you and grant you shalom. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. Exodus 13:17 to 17:16. When Pharaoh let the people go, Elohim did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was nearer. For Elohim said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. That Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea. And the people of Israel went out of the land of Egypt, equipped for battle. And Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones with you from here. And they moved on from Sukkot and encamped at Etam, at the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might travel by day and by night. The pillar of cloud by the day and the pillar of fire by the night did not depart from before the people. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel to turn back and encamp in front of Pi-Hahiroth, between the Migdal and the sea, in front of Baal Zephon. You shall encamp facing it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say unto the people of Israel, they are wandering in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his hosts. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. And when the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, the mind of Pharaoh and his servants was changed toward the people, and they said, what is this we have done, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made ready his chariot, and he took his army with him, and he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the other chariots of Egypt with the officers over all of them. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the people of Israel, while the people of Israel were going out defiantly. And the Egyptians pursued them all, Pharaoh's horses and chariots, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them and camped by the sea, by Pi-Hahiroth, in front of Baal Zephon. When Pharaoh drew near, the people of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they feared greatly. And the people of Israel cried out to Yahweh, and they said to Moshe, it is because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done in bringing us out of Egypt? Is it not this that we said to you in the Egypt, leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. And Moshe said to the people, fear not, stand firm, and you will see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians in whom you see here today, you shall never see again. Yahweh will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. Yahweh said to Moshe, why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the heart of the Egyptians so that they shall go in after them. And then I will get glory over Pharaoh and all of his hosts and his chariots and his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh. And when I have gotten glory over Pharaoh and his chariots and horsemen. Then the angel of Elohim, who was going before the host of Israel, moved and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud moved before them and stood behind them, and coming between the host of Egypt and the host of Israel, and there was a cloud and the darkness, and it lit up the night without one coming near to the other all night long. Then Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh drove the sea back by a strong east wind all night, and made the sea dry land. And the waters were divided, and the people of Israel went through into the midst of the sea on dry ground, and the waters being a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them. And in the midst of the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses and his chariots and his horsemen. And in the morning watch, Yahweh in the pillar of fire and the cloud looked down on the Egyptian forces that they drove heavily. And threw the Egyptian forces into a panic, clogging their chariot wheels so that they drove heavily. And the Egyptians said, let us flee from before Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Egyptians. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, stretch out your hand over the sea, that the water may come back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, upon their horsemen. So Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its normal course. When the morning appeared, and as the Egyptians fled into it, Yahweh threw the Egyptians into the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, and all of the host of Pharaoh that had followed them into the sea. Not one of them remained, but the people of Israel walked on dry ground through the sea, the waters being a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. And Israel saw the great power that Yahweh had used against the Egyptians, so that the people feared Yahweh, and they believed in Yahweh and in his servant Moshe. And then Moshe and the people of Israel sang the song to Yahweh, saying, I will sing to Yahweh, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. Yahweh is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. This is my Elohim. I will praise him. My father's Elohim. I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariot and his host he cast into the sea, and his chosen officers were sunk into the Red Sea, and the floods covered them, and they went down into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahweh, glorious in power. Your right hand, O Yahweh, shatters the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow your adversaries. You send out fury, and it consumes them like stubble. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters did pile up. The floods stood up in a heap. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue. I will overtake. I will divide the spoil. My desires shall have its fill of them. I will draw my sword, and my hand shall destroy them. You blew with your wind, and the sea covered them, and they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glorious deeds, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. You have led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them by the strength of your holy abode. The peoples have heard, and they tremble. Pangs have seized the inhabitants of Philistia. Now are the chiefs of Edom dismayed. Trembling seized the leaders of Moab. And all of the inhabitants of Canaan have melted away. Terror and dread fall upon them because of the greatness of your arm. They are as still as a stone, till your people, O Yahweh, pass by, till the people pass by whom you have purchased. You will bring them in and plant them in your own mountain, the place, O Yahweh, which you have made for your abode, the sanctuary, Yahweh, which your hands have established. Yahweh will reign forever and ever. For when the horses of Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen went into the sea, Yahweh brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But the people of Israel walked on dry ground in the midst of the sea. Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the tambourine in her hand And all of the women went out after her with tambourines and dancing, and Miriam sang a song to them. Sing to Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his riders he has thrown into the sea. Then Moses made Israel set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Therefore it was named Marah. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, What shall we drink? And he cried to Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a log, and he threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There Yahweh made for them a statute and a rule, and there he tested them, saying, If you will diligently listen to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, and do that which is right in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh your healer. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the water. They set out from Elim, and all of the congregation of the people of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, and on the 15th day of the second month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. And the people of Israel said to them, Would that we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate the bread until we were full. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to kill us, this whole assembly, with hunger. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, Behold, I am about to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not. On the 6th day, when they prepare what they bring in, there will be twice as much as they gathered daily, so that Moshe and Aaron said to the people of Israel, At evening you shall know that it is Yahweh who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of Yahweh, because he has heard your grumbling against Yahweh. For what are we, that you grumble against us? And Moshe said, When Yahweh gives you in the evening meat to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, because Yahweh has heard your grumbling, that you grumbled against him. What are we? Your grumbling is not against us, but against Yahweh. Then Moshe said to Aaron, Say to the whole congregation of the people, Israel, Come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your grumbling. And as soon as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the people of Israel, they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. And Yahweh said to Moshe, I have heard the grumbling of the people of Israel. Say to them, At twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread, and then you will know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And in the evening quail came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay around the camp. And when the dew had gone up, there was on the face of the wilderness a fine flake-like thing, fine as frost on the ground. When the people of Israel saw it, they said one to another, What is this? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, It is the bread that Yahweh has given you to eat. This is what Yahweh has commanded. Gather of it, each of you, as much as you can eat. And you shall take an omer, according to the number of the persons that each of you has in his tent. And the people of Israel did so, and they gathered some more, some less. But when they measured it with an omer, whoever had gathered much had nothing left over, but whoever had gathered little had no lack. Each of them gathered as much as he could. And Moshe said to them, Let no one leave any of it until the morning. But they did not listen to Moshe, and some left part of it until the morning, and the bread grew worms, and it stank. And Moshe was angry with them. Morning by morning they gathered it, each one as he could eat. But when the sun grew hot, it melted. On the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omars each. And when all of the leaders of the congregation had come and told Moshe, he said to them, This is what Yahweh has commanded. Tomorrow is the day of solemn rest, a holy Shabbat, Sabbath to Yahweh. Bake what you will bake and boil what you will boil, and all that is left lay aside to be kept until morning. So they laid it aside until the morning, and as Moshe commanded them, and it did not stink, nor were there worms in it. And Moshe said, eat it today, for today is a Shabbat, a Sabbath to Yahweh. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather, but on the seventh day, which is a Shabbat, there will be none. And on the seventh day, some of the people went out to gather, but they found none. And Yahweh said to Moshe, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, Yahweh has given you the Sabbath. Therefore, on the sixth day, he gives you bread for 2 days. Remain each of you in his place, and let no one go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day. Now the house of Israel called its name manna. It was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. So Moshe said, this is what Yahweh has commanded. Let an omer of it be kept throughout your generations, so that they may see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. And Moshe said to Aaron, take a jar and put an omer of manna in it, and place it before Yahweh to be kept throughout your generations. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so Aaron placed it before the testimony to be kept. And the people of Israel ate the manna 40 years, till they came to the habitable land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan, and omer is a 10th part of an ephah. All of the congregation of the people of Israel moved on from the wilderness of sin by stages, according to the commandment of Yahweh, and camped at Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people quarreled with Moses and said, give us water to drink. And Moshe said to them, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test Yahweh? But the people thirsted there for water. And the people grumbled against Moshe and said, why did you bring us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and livestock with thirst? So Moshe cried to Yahweh, what shall I do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me. And Yahweh said to Moshe, pass on before the people, taking with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff which you struck the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock at Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people will drink. And Moshe did so in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the quarreling of the people of Israel, and because they tested Yahweh by saying, is Yahweh among us or not? Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. And so Moshe said to Joshua, choose for us men, and go forth to fight Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of Elohim in my hand. So Yeshua did as Moshe told him, and fought with Amalek. And while Moshe and Aaron and Hur were up at the top of the hill, whenever Moshe held up his hand, Israel prevailed. But whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moshe's hands grew weary. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and the other on the other. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun, and Yeshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, write this as a memorial in a book and recite it to the ears of Yeshua, that I may utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. And Moshe built an altar there and called the name of it Yahweh is my banner, saying, at the hand upon the throne of Yahweh, Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Judges 4:531. 4:4 to 5:31. Now Deborah, a prophetess and the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at that time, and she used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel, in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Israel came to her for judgment. And she sent and summoned for Barak, the son of Abinoam, from the Kadesh Naphtali. and said to him, has not Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, commanded you? Go and gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from the people of Naphtali and the people of Zebulun. And I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon with his chariots and his troops. And I will give him into your hand. And Barak said to her, if you will go with me, I will go. But if not, I will not. If you will not go with me, I will not go. And she said, surely I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you were going will not lead to your glory, for Yahweh will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Then Deborah arose Then Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to him in Kadesh. And 10,000 men went up at his heels, and Deborah went up with them. Now Hebor the Kenite had separated from the Kenites, the descendants of Habab, the father-in-law of Moses, and had pitched his tent as far away as the oak of Zananim, which is near Kadesh. When Sisera was told that Barak, the son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor, Sisera called out his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all of the men who were with him from Harosheth Hagoyim to the river Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, up, for this is the day in which Yahweh has given Sisera into your hand. Does not Yahweh go out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him, and Yahweh routed Sisera and all of his chariots and all of his army before Barak by the edge of the sword. And Sisera got down from his chariot and fled away on foot. And Barak pursued the chariots and the army of Harosheth Hagoyim, and all of the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword, and not one man was left. But Sisera fled away on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Hebor the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazah, and the house of Hebor, and the Kenite. Then Jael came out to meet Sisera and said to him, turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me. Do not be afraid. So he turned aside to her into the tent, and she covered him with a rug. And he said to her, please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. And he said to her, stand at the opening of the tent, and if any man comes and asks, is anyone there, say no. But Jael, the wife of Hebor, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand, and she went in softly to him and drove the peg into his temple until it went down into the ground, while he was lying fast asleep from the weariness. So he died, and behold, as Barak was pursuing Sisera, Jael went out to meet him and said to him, come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking. So he went into her tent, and there lies Sisera dead, with a tent peg in his temple. So on that day Elohim subdued Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the people of Israel. And the hand of the people of Israel pressed harder and harder against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. The song of Deborah and Barak. Then sang Deborah and Barak the song of Abinoam on that day. The leaders took the lead in Israel, that the people offered themselves willingly bless Yahweh. Hear, O kings, and give ear, O princes, to Yahweh. I will sing. I will make melody to Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. Adonai, Yahweh, when you went out from Seir, when you marched from the region of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. Yes, the clouds dropped water. The mountains quaked before Yahweh, even Sinai before Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were abandoned, and the travelers kept to the byways. The villagers ceased in Israel, and they ceased to be until I arose. I, Deborah, arose as a mother in Israel. When new gods were chosen, then war was in the gates. When Was the shield or the spear to be seen among the 40,000 in Israel? My heart goes out to the commanders of Israel, who offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless Yahweh. Tell of it, you who ride on white donkeys, you who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk by the way. The sound of the musicians at the watering places. There they repeat the righteous triumphs of Yahweh, the righteous triumphs of his villagers in Israel. Then down to the gates march the people of Yahweh. Awake, awake, Deborah. Awake, awake, break out into song. Arise, Barak, and lead away your captives, O son of Abinoam. Then down marched the remnant of the noble. The people of Yahweh marched down for me against the mighty. From Ephraim, their route, they marched down into the valley, following you, Benjamin, with your kinsmen. From Machar, they marched down with the commanders. From Zebulun, those who bear the lieutenant's staff, the princes of Issachar came with Deborah. And Issachar, faithful to Barak, into the valley they rushed at his heels. Among the clans of Reuben, there were great searchings of the heart. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds to hear the whistling for the flocks? Among the clans of Reuben, there were great searchings of the heart. Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan, and Dan, why did he stay with the ships? Asher sat still at the coast of the sea, staying by his landings. Zebulun is a people who risked their lives to death. Naphtali also on the heights of the field. The kings came, they fought, then fought the kings of Canaan at Taanach by the waters of Megiddo. They got no spoils of silver. From heaven the stars fought. From their courses they fought against Sisera. The torrent of Kishon swept them away. The ancient torrent, the torrent of Kishon, march on, my soul, with might. Then loud beat the horse's hoofs with the galloping of his heels, of his steeds. Curse Meroz, says the angel of Yahweh. Curse its inhabitants thoroughly, because they did not come out to the help of Yahweh against the mighty. Most blessed of the women be Jael, the wife of Hebor the Canaanite. Of the tent dwelling women most blessed. He asked for water and she gave him milk. She brought him curds in a noble's bowl. She sent her hand to the tent peg and her right hand to the workman's mallet. She struck Sisera. She crushed his head. She shattered and pierced his temple. Between her feet he sank and fell and lay still. Between her feet he sank, he fell. There he fell dead, where he sank. Excuse me. Out of the window she peered. The mother of Sisera wailed through the lattice. Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the hoofbeats of his chariots? Her wisest princess answered, indeed, she answers herself. Have they not found and divided the spoil? The wound, or two for every man, spoil of dyed materials for Sisera, spoil of dyed materials embroidered, 2 pieces of dyed work embroidered for the neck as a spoil. So may all of your enemies perish, Yahweh, but your friends be like the sun as he rises in his might. And the land had rest for 40 years. Matthew 5, 1-48. And seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and when he sat down, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth, and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see Elohim. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of Elohim. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on mine account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under the people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket, but on a stand so that it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say unto you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one iota, not one dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said of those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders is liable of the judgment. But I say unto you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council. Whoever says, you fool, will be liable to hell, the fire of hell. So if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accusers, while you are going with him to the court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard to be put in prison. Truly I say unto you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. And you have said, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with a lustful intent in his heart has already committed adultery with her. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hellfire. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that the whole of your body go into the fires of hell. It was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce, a get. But I say unto you that everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman also commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said of those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but perform to the Lord whatever you have sworn. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of Elohim, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if anyone would sue you to take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and he sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? But if you greet only your brother, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect, as your Father is perfect. John 6:22-40. On the next day, the crowd that remained on the other side of the sea saw that there had been only one boat there, and that Yeshua had not entered the boat with his disciples, but that his disciples had gone away alone. Other boats from Tiberias came near to the place where they had eaten the bread, and after the Lord had given thanks. So when the crowd saw that Yeshua was not there, nor his disciples, they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum, seeking Yeshua. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you come here? And Yeshua answered them, Truly, truly, I say to you, you are seeking me not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For on him Elohim the Father has set his seal. Then they said to him, What must we do to be doing the works of Elohim? And Yeshua answered them, This is the work of Elohim, that you believe in him whom he has sent. So they said to him, Then what sign do you do that we may see and believe you? What work do you perform? Our fathers ate manna in the wilderness. Our fathers ate manna in the wilderness, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Yeshua then said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, it was not Moshe who gave you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of Elohim is he who came down from heaven and gives life to the world. And they said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. Yeshua said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. This is the will of him who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up on the last day. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who looks on the Son and believes in him should have eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 1-13. For I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that our fathers were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moshe in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate from the same spiritual food, and all drank from the spiritual drink. For they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them. That rock was Hamashiach. Nevertheless, with most of them Elohim was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things took place as examples for us, that we might not desire evil as they did. Do not be idolaters as some of them were, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. We must not indulge in sexual immorality, as some of them did. And 23,000 fell in a single day. We must not put Hamashiach to the test, as some of them did and were destroyed by serpents. nor grumble, as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now these things happened to them as an example, but they were written down for our instruction, on whom the end of the ages has come. Therefore let anyone who thinks that he stands take heed, lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. Elohim is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. 2 Corinthians 8, 1-15. We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of Elohim that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means, of their own accord, begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. And this, not as we were expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord, and then by the will of Elohim to us. Accordingly, we urge Titus, that as he had started, so he should complete among you this act of grace. But as you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all earnestness, and in our love for you, see that you excel in this act of grace also. I say this not as a commandment, but to prove by the earnestness of others that your love also is genuine. For you know the grace of our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, so that you by his poverty might become rich. And in this matter, I give my judgment. This benefits you, who a year ago started not only to do all this work, but also to desire to do it. So now finish doing it as well, so that your readiness in desiring it may be matched by your completing of it what you have. Completing it out of what you have. For if the readiness is there, it is acceptable according to what a person has, not according to what he does not have. For I do not mean that others should be eased at your burden, but that as a matter of fairness, your abundance at the present time should supply their need, so that their abundance may supply your need, that there may be fairness. As it is written, whoever gathered much had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack. Revelation 15, 1-4. Then I saw another sign in the heaven, great and amazing, 7 angels with 7 plagues, which are the last. For with them the wrath of Elohim is finished. And I saw what appeared to be a sea of glass mingled with fire, and also those who had conquered the beast and its image, with the number of its name standing beside the sea of glass, with harps, the harps of Elohim in their hands. And they sing the song of Moshe, the servant of Elohim, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and amazing are your deeds, O Lord Elohim, the Almighty, Yahweh. Just and true are your ways, O King of the nations. Who will not fear, O Adonai, and glorify your holy name? For you alone are holy. All nations will come and worship you, for your righteous acts have been revealed. Hallelujah. Baruch atah Adonai Yahuwah Eloheinu Malach haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'shayei alom natabekenu, Baruch atah Adonai Yahweh, Naton HaTorah, B'Shem Yeshua, Amen. Blessed art thou, Adonai Yahweh, our God, sovereign King of the universe. You gave us the Torah of truth and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah, B'Shem Yeshua, Amen. This concludes our readings. Shabbat Shalom.